So, bro, I made like several videos about BITO versus YBIT, and for the most part, the reception has been all right. But on Reddit, there were like some really stubborn yieldmax fans that like were defending YBIT and calling me like an idiot and whatever. Not really calling me an idiot, but basically trying to explain why YBIT is better. So anyway, this will be my final video about YBIT, and the reason why it's final because like in this video I'll show you that YBIT is complete garbage and that people shouldn't be investing in it. So let's take a look. Let's just compare the two from the inception of YBIT because BITO did its IPO like more than 3 years ago. It's been around for a while, but YBIT came out just over a year ago. Okay, and so since then, total return of YBIT is 12%. Okay, and total return of BITO is 45%. Okay, now here's the kicker. In this time, you've received $6,400 of dividends. Now, this is assuming that you invested 10 grand at IPO or at inception, and you basically reinvested all your dividends. So on this 6,400 bucks, you have to pay you have to pay taxes, and this is non-qualified dividends. So whatever your tax rate is, you pay tax on that. Okay, same for BITO. I'm not saying you don't have to pay taxes on BITO, on dividends or distributions from BITO. But anyway, so the share price has gone down a lot on YBIT, and it also decreased on BITO, but not as significantly. And like just from the point of you know income generating asset that retains some of its value, BITO just crashes YBIT. All right, and so here is the comparison of IBIT to YBIT. So what is IBIT? IBIT is basically a Bitcoin ETF, and for each Bitcoin, you basically to convert Bitcoin to IBIT to this ETF, it's basically like 1,750 some shares of YBIT make up one Bitcoin. So it basically tracks Bitcoin's price, and the reason why IBIT is better than YBIT, I'll talk about it later. But basically, in November of last year, November 19th, you could now sell options on IBIT on this Bitcoin ETF. Okay, so and essentially this is what IBIT is doing, or what YBIT is doing now. So this is their latest holdings right here. So this is this is the middle of the. This is from January. Okay, so this is from yesterday. They're now holding positions on IBIT and MBTX. I'm not really sure what that is. Doesn't really matter. Most of their positions are on IBIT. So basically, they're now selling covered calls on IBIT. So you can just do the same thing. You essentially own Bitcoin, although it's not in your wallet, but you can also make income on it. So you can sell your own covered calls on IBIT. It's essentially getting yield from holding Bitcoin. Pretty nice. But look how in the same time period how IBIT, this Bitcoin ETF, did versus YBIT, 55% versus 12%. So IBIT is just like horrible performance. The price decrease is horrendous. And yeah, they did announce like a pretty massive dividend today, but that means that the share price will go down, you know. Um, so it basically equalizes. So your return will be about the same 12%. Okay, but here's an even a more interesting comparison. So YBIT to Misty, and I just made a video about Misty and some risks of it. Like I do hold Misty, I like it, almost love it. Not super in love with it because of the risks, but it's doing great for me, and it's doing great for most Misty holders, unless you like bought it over here in November for 45 bucks, and now you're kind of down even with crazy distributions. But anyway, so in every regard, in every comparison, YBIT loses to BITO, to IBIT, and again, like this is just a pure price returns right here. So this is pure price returns, but at the same time, you could be selling cover calls on your IBIT shares and generate income that way. So that this would be even higher because IBIT doesn't pay any dividends. It just basically holds Bitcoin for you in a form of a stock, but you can now generate income on it. All right. So YBIT is just horrible all around, and considering the taxes, you're actually down because you have to pay taxes on this 6,400 bucks right here, and also there's more distributions coming in on this Friday, so more taxes. Anyway, yeah, so I think this is just completely horrible. And so my last video that I made over here, this was in on November 12th. So essentially, I didn't know that YBIT is coming out with options, but a week later they come out with options. And what happens, you, so which one are we looking at? Right here. So a few days later, this is YBIT Holdings. So they switch 100% to YBIT. Okay, cool. They stop dealing with BITO. All right, because essentially what they were doing, this is a kicker. So what YBIT would do is they would create a synthetic position on BITO and sell cover calls against it. But they kept losing and losing and losing because like they would open their position when BITO would run up, then BITO would collapse and they lose a shirt. It was just like it was a pretty wild roller coaster. And check out my previous videos. They basically explain in historic. So you can see May 9th, May 28th, and then my final video was in November. But basically, these two videos, they just kind of cover what was happening back then, how they were screwing up their synthetic positions. But back to the spreadsheet. Okay, so they switch 100% to YBIT. Okay, they get rid of BITO synthetic positions and cover calls. But just a couple months later, so this is mid-January of 2025, they once again start dealing in BITO. Like, what the hell? You haven't learned your lesson? Like, this was completely crazy. And by the way, there's not even covered calls on this. It's just a synthetic position. Or is it? Yeah, it's just a synthetic position. They don't even sell cover calls on it. Why are they even holding it? I don't know. But okay, this was 4 months ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So now they're out of BITO. Now they're dealing in YBIT and MBTX. Cool. Um, Whatever. Doesn't matter. I think it's a horrible fund. I hope that yieldmax just completely closes it down, returns the capital to investors, because it's a drag on YMAX and just like whatever. I think it's a pretty bad fund. I don't think it was a good idea. Like, it's okay that they switched to YBIT, maybe MBTX, but I don't think it's going to perform very well going forward. So yeah, basically, here is the proof. YBIT sucks. And if you want income from Bitcoin, either like buy YBIT yourself and sell your own covered calls, or you can go with BITO. And by the way, I want to make a video about BITO, probably my last one also, because I sold most of my BITO position, majority of it. And the reason I did that, even though like I sold for 18 bucks, so at this point it's like $4 loss, but my average on those shares, my after all the dividends and covered and all the options I kept selling on them, my average cost was like 250. So it was still very profitable hold. I did hold it for since the inception. I bought on the first day of trading. But anyway, I'll make that video separately. Guys, yeah, I don't like, this is not financial advice, but I don't recommend YBIT. I think it's a crappy stock. Now, I'm not telling you to go and buy YBIT and start selling your own cover calls. That's your decision. What I'm just trying to show here is that buying YBIT from yieldmax is not a very good investment. Yeah. So by the way, all these holdings right here, you can download them from our yieldmax archive. And to get to that, you just go to the navigation at the top, hover over CHD, and the archive is right here. And here's our yieldmax page, which also shows like the best performing yieldmax funds. So Misty lost its first position, which is used to be number one for the longest time, but it's still the largest fund. It's like over $3 billion in market cap. Yeah, right here, 3.2. So, well, it's assets under management. They call it market cap, but whatever. But yeah, YBIT is somewhere over here. Let's search for it. Yeah, so it's not doing very well. If you bought it exactly a year ago and you dripped, you're up 19%. If you didn't drip, you're up only 10% or 9%, and the share price decline is 40% since 1 year ago. So yeah, not a very good fun. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps. The channel is very small. I would like to grow it, make more videos for you. So your likes, your subscriptions really help advance the channel. And my next video will be about BITO and why I got out of it. and what I think are the prospects for BITO going forward. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.